What up, what up? Zach Bradshaw, long-winded guy. Back to talk some charts. After my last video, it was basically about selling, I guess the last two videos were about selling at the highs so that you can rebuy on the lows. And after those videos, this one's quite fitting because I failed to do so, and now I'm caught holding bags. So my account is basically where it was the same time last week. Uh, I guess not showing all of my value here, but uh, zero point zero 0.07 Bitcoin and $100, basically about 2,500 bucks. And in the course of this week, I saw my account over 3,100 bucks, and I failed to cash out enough of it to retain that as it came back down. So, um, just looking at my orders here, I did a decent job buying 3 days ago in the 36, well, I guess it's more like 4 days ago. This is not accurate with the days, but because 3 days ago it was not that low. But I did a decent job buying, actually selling out a little bit higher in the 38 area, and then rebuying all through this area from uh, 36.7, 36.75 to let's say 37.25 or 37.250. And so I basically, like what was shown in my last couple of videos, was able to sell some here, buy some a little bit lower, and then ride this up. And that's part of why I saw 3,100 in my account. I wouldn't have seen that high. Probably still would have barely cracked 3K. I wouldn't have seen that high if I hadn't folded some of my money right here. But then I failed to sell above 40 at all. So if you're looking at my account down here, I don't have any sales above 40. Still, I was able to execute a not that bad of a trade here. So I have these buys. Then I ended up selling here, partially because I wasn't paying attention before that. And, that's just one of the things with trading, especially crypto, because it's 24 hours. You have to be paying attention. And I was actually working. I mean, it was up on one of my tabs and I just did not notice it. And I had quit resetting my alerts that I use on the charts to say when it comes to this price, let me know. Because I was just getting too many texts and I was probably engrossed in my work. But whatever the case may be, I missed it when there was clearly some levels. Sorry, eating breakfast. There was clearly some levels where once it broke down from here, even anywhere in these three candles would have been a decent sell. Especially for me, when, well, you know what? This one's right here. These are right here. So, it would have been preferable to sell out anywhere in here on the drop to this. Just because I knew once it broke 40, it was going to fall. And hey, it got bought back up the first time, and I could have, if I would have sold out how I was supposed to up here, I could have bought some back here, sold it here, and then bought some down here or right here, sold it here, and then bought some down here and sold it here, etc. As things stand, I wasn't quite able to execute that, but once it did break below, it probably hit this spike, came up here, and somewhere I sold around 35.8, right? And I sold a pretty fat chunk, maybe about 700 bucks worth of Bitcoin in there, or maybe I think it was, this one's about 400 bucks. So about 500 and some change on Bitcoin, maybe 600 bucks. And then you see I was able to immediately buy back. I mean, immediately within the same, this is talking about hour apart, but they had to be 15 to 30 minutes at the most. And so I sold out up here, was able to buy for a couple of $1,000s lower. And then last night I sold another little piece so that this became, starts to become a winning trade. Because I bought down here at, let's just say, let's put this one on the chart. What I buy, like 33.5, and was able to sell right there. Is that accurate? Thereabouts. Right, so here's just a little 4% trade, and obviously I lose 1% of that just based on the trading platform. Coinbase is going to take it. And there's room for more upside because perhaps this is putting in a higher low right here on the hourly chart, and our next, we're going to break this one next. If it doesn't fall down from here, we have a doji candle in here that might be setting in some of this 2-hour bias, or we have a potential head and shoulders forming or something like that. So there's, well, I don't know if the volume signature, well, it would be actually right here. So we have some decision making that's going to be done over the next couple of hours as this forms up a pattern, or does whatever it does next, to decide whether this is the top. Based on long-term charts, I don't think this is the top, but it very well, or this local top, but it very well may be. And as this stands right now, I am not looking. So the blog post, or the post on playing markets for this one's going to be called Holding Bags, because that's basically what I'm doing right now, and I don't like it. I think this, I'm not sure whether this is coming for more downside or not. And I don't really like being so exposed in the market. I'd much rather be like 50-50 here, but I would have rather gotten to 50-50 up here, and I failed to do so. And so now I'm stuck holding these bags. Hey, I think Bitcoin's going to 100,000 over time, so it's okay to sit with these bags. But I'll still prefer not to, and be able to buy breakouts, buy good positions, buy along the bottom side of channels, etc., and sell, at points that make sense to sell. Failed to do that here. So now I'm stuck in my bags a little bit, but despite being stuck in my bags, right, there was a point here where I could have said, oh, I like these buys at 36. I don't want to let them go for less, right? So I basically had to take a loss to win, but I was going to take this loss anyway, right? Right now it's even lower than that. So it's a good thing I sold out in the 35.8 region, and then was able to buy back lower. And maybe I should have sold out more and bought back more lower. Probably should have sold out more and bought back the same amount, so that I had more free cash sitting on the side, and then potentially sell more. And I'll be looking closely at these next couple candles to decide, all right, do I want to just get rid of this position and maybe a little bit more, to take profits on some of these amazing positions that I got lucky enough to be paying attention to in here, that are really making up the bulk of this 0.07, come from much lower regions. And so, I just need to make sure that I take profit when I can. And when I see signals like this where it keeps coming down to these areas, now I want to see if there's some bullish divergence in here or something like that, but or bearish divergence, hidden bullish divergence, whatever it's called, to see whether this thing may go back up, because it's on an uptrend. I think on the weekly, it looks like we're still going to get higher highs, but I need to not be making a video. I need to look at this a little bit deeper to know what I really think about that. And then I need to look at some of the traders that I trust most to, then set up my positions and whatever. It's really not what you should do. You should not depend on other traders for your analysis, but I'm not that good at this yet. And I found some dudes who are really, really good. And so, I use them as indicators, basically. Like, I look at the charts myself, use my own tools. Some of the tools come from them, but use the tools myself and then use them to check, my own hypothesis to see what they're thinking. So far, it's working out for me fairly well, but still, you can see here that the execution of trading is a big deal. Just to show you how much of a loss I ate on these positions, right? I lost 20%. I didn't sell at the bottom, but I lost 20% in value, especially if it comes down here and settles down here for a while, and plays out some ranges in this area. As it stood, I guess I got out at 35 something. So I materialized well, I didn't buy from there, so that's not fully accurate. But it is when you think about, okay, I had this price that I could have sold out on. I I ate a 20% loss on that position, my total position, even though I bought much lower. It's not really a losing trade. This last day and a half of management has been poor, and I could be sitting with this account with 3K in it. Instead, I'm sitting with 2,500. worth of Bitcoin, instead of 33,000 cash. I'm sitting in Bitcoin that, could go to 20 before it really starts to go back up again because this thing is crazy. So that's it for this one. Don't hold your bags. Sell percentages of your stack. Preferably, I would have been able to sell 10% up here. I'm not sure why I didn't. Probably just being greedy, or working on something. I'm not sure. But should have sold a small percentage here. Should have sold another percentage when it broke this line, and maybe some other percentages, like perhaps bought this line. So say I get out 10%, I get out a total of 25% when it's down here. So I'm 75% in Bitcoin. And then when it does this, I probably would have been able to buy this dip with maybe 10%. And then when it came up here, I would have sold more than 10%, so 15% or 20%, so that now I'm slowly getting more into cash. I played this bounce, but I'm at 30% or 35% cash. And then as it comes down again and potentially breaks, I'd probably use this close. Once it closed below that, I'd probably get out another percentage. So I was at about 50%. And then I could have played these bounces much more aggressively, and better than I did. But hindsight is 2020. That's not how I played it. I wasn't paying attention, so I didn't play it. Now I'm paying the consequences. One of my favorite traders mentioned something over the weekend that was interesting to me that I'm going to start to pay better attention to. He says that he thinks that the market is going to start punishing Wall Street traders who expect to be able to work 9 to 5, because he's been noticing major moves happening on Sunday night before these guys get back to their desk, and then they get back to their desk Monday morning and are probably panicked. And that's what markets do. They find ways to punish people, whatever inefficiencies you have. And the big money traders aren't probably fully ready for a 24/7 market, like what Bitcoin is. So I'm going to shut up. Don't get caught holding your bags. That was the point of this one. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.